In this video, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to rewrite world borders and one more. I already have a plan to change the borders, and here is a real world borders dividing, space race borders dividing, cyber warfare, and the last is secret point. Each item has 20 actions in different countries and different regions, so once you know the rules, we can get started. In Canada, recognize the linguistic differences between English and French speakers, and consider redrawing borders to create distinct nations for the Anglophone and Francophone communities. It's about time to redraw the first country, and it's Canada. I found a map of the languages of Canada, so let's redraw this area. Looks interesting. In Iraq, grant autonomy to the Kurdistan region, allowing the Kurdish population to preserve its unique cultural identity. And now it's time to update the Middle East, well, a troubled region. I looked at a map of Kurdish settlement, and these are the territories they inhabit. In Myanmar, consider the ethnic diversity and grant autonomy to regions like Shan State and Qing State, reflecting the distinct ethnic groups residing there. We're moving further and further east. Well, this time it's Myanmar. In India, acknowledge the religious differences and consider redrawing borders to create autonomous regions for Hindu majority and Muslim majority populations. Okay, ChatGPT, are you suggesting I'm moving close to the India-Pakistan front? Let's see what I got. In Brazil, establish distinct nations around major economic centers like Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, promoting economic collaboration within these regions. Wow, ChatGPT, that's not even Asia. Redrawing Brazil's borders sounds a bit weird already. Why would cities separate for no reason? ChatGPT is starting to go crazy. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, redraw borders to create nations that share access to the country's mineral-rich regions, ensuring fair resource distribution. Okay, even weirder. Well, I'm already wondering what's going to happen in the end. You're probably wondering the same thing. In Spain, recognize the geographical features of the Pyrenees Mountains and consider dividing regions between Spain and France along these natural borders. Alright, let's recognize the new borders of Spain and France. I can't think of anything better to do than this. In Ukraine, consider historical ties and cultural connections, potentially redrawing borders to create distinct nations based on these historical affiliations. Oh, it's my country, man. Why are you doing this? Looks like I have no choice. So let's give autonomy to Crimea and to Rusyns, these ones people at west of Ukraine. In China, distinguish between urban and rural areas, potentially adjusting borders to accommodate the unique needs and interests of both. Oh, China now, you will be surprised. How will it look like? In Russia, consider the diverse climate zones and redraw borders to create nations that share similar weather patterns. We already did 10 countries. Hooray! So let's continue. It must be interesting. In the United Kingdom, recognize the educational promise of Oxford and Cambridge and consider forming a nation centered around these educational institutions. It's strange. I hope you like it. ChatGPT. I've made country names Sinners Kingdom especially for scientists. I was always thinking that British scientists unseal something, and now they want their own country for their experiments. But this is really weird. Why do they need this? They doing something illegal here? I hope that it's not true. In South Korea, create a nation around the technology and innovation hub of Seoul, fostering collaboration and technological advancements. So, South Korea, why decides to have its own nation just for tech stuff? I think they can be great allies for science. In Italy, establish nations centered around major tourism destinations like Venice and Florence, promoting collaboration in the tourism sector. Next one is Italy. And ChatGPT asked me to write new regions specially for tourism hubs. We all know that Chinese tourists love to visit Italy, so let's do it. In South Africa, consider health indicators and redraw borders to create nations focused on improving healthcare and well-being. Now it's African front. So I've divided South Africa due to this one map on different districts. In Indonesia, establish nations along major trade routes in the Java Sea, fostering economic collaboration among maritime-focused nations. And now we move into Asia again. Hey, Indonesian fellas, are you here? ChatGPT asked me to divide your country, and I sincerely don't know how it happened. I only can assume that Somalian pirates decided to move here for some reason. Only this one country is divided as Indonesia at this universe. In Sweden, consider strong environmental policies and draw borders to create eco-friendly nations. Europe again, I still can't accept China and Italy. It's so weird. But now I must make Sweden, and it's better to do it at the most urbanized region. In the United States, identify interconnected city networks in the northeast megalopolis, e.g. Boston to Washington, D.C., and consider redrawing borders accordingly. Strange division. Well, okay, it would make more sense if ChatGPT had suggested separating California or Texas. In France, recognize the artistic and cultural contributions of Paris and consider establishing a nation celebrating and promoting cultural diversity. I've said the British scientists in China are strange, but actually not. Dividing Paris, making enclave from France, it's strange. In Japan, consider age demographics and create regions or cities that cater specifically to the needs and aspiration of different age groups. Sounds interesting, though no less bizarre. Anyway, I found a map of the average age in different regions of Japan and decided to bring Generation X, Generation Y millennials, and Generation Z Zoomers to power in each region. In the United Arab Emirates, incorporate futuristic urban planning principles in Dubai and potentially redraw borders to reflect sustainable and technologically advanced city layouts. The last one point makes me happy. Finally, something not crazy. Welcome to the Mars fellas. Now it's our country's area to fight for a long time, and ChatGPT already has some content for us. Iceland, known for its unique volcanic landscape, establishes nations with prominent Martian craters, each with its own unique characteristics and resources. Oh, Iceland is the first country to colonize Mars, and it looks like ChatGPT is linking colony countries to actual places of countries. Russia, emphasizing vast territorial dominance, claims Olympus Mons as a cornerstone of a Martian dominion. Looks like Russia won space race with USA, and it's so weird. The European Union, symbolizing collaboration and unity, redraws Martian borders along Vales Marineris, forming alliances among regions with shared access to the Canyon system. European Union is so lucky. Here is a lot of resources, I guess. Canada, known for its vast natural resources and polar regions, establishes nations around the Martian poles, focusing on resource-rich regions like water, ice. Canada has chosen northern lowlands for her colonization. Okay. China, reflecting a rising power and vast territory, forms a confederacy of nations on the Tharsis Plateau, known for its elevated terrain and volcanic activity. You will be shaken up because of territory what was taken by China. What's an enormous territory? Japan and South Korea, known for their technological advancements, established distinct nations on Martian moons, influencing the geopolitical landscape of nearby Martian territories. At this point, I found maps of Mars moons, if we can say so. Biggest one belongs to Techno Union, smaller one belongs to Japanese republics of Zoomers, Millennials, and X-Gen. Egypt, historically tied to riverine civilizations, redraws borders along Ars Vallis, creating riverine states with a nod to ancient civilization. Oh, even Egypt is here, and he has chosen outflow channels around Ars Vallis, referring us to ancient Egypt. The United States, emphasizing scientific innovation, establishes a scientific hub within Gilclear, home to the Curiosity rover, fostering innovation and collaboration. You will be a bit disappointed, as I was too. USA took 2 less territory, but I'm genuinely hope USA will take more from Mars as was waiting to. Norway, known for its magnetic anomalies, establishes autonomous zones based on magnetic anomalies on Mars, potentially influencing local cultures and technologies. Have you ever heard of anomaly zones of Norway? I've never heard of this. Okay, on Mars a lot of them, so here is so much of territory for Norway. Australia, familiar with extreme weather conditions, redraws borders to account for dust storm-prone regions on Mars, forming buffer nations to mitigate the impact of extreme weather events. Another one big country, Australia. Greece, celebrating ancient history and unity, unites regions within the Hellas Basin, one of the largest impact craters on Mars, promoting solidarity and shared resources. Here is the first conflict here. Greece wants Hellas Basin, but it is under Iceland's rule, so for now, Greece only can be near to Basin. Italy, rich in historical heritage, establishes historic districts within Notus Terra on Mars, preserving the planet's ancient past. Notus Terra sounds so Italian. South Korea, known for technological innovation, creates an innovation belt along Sirius Major on Mars, encouraging technological advancements and research. It's time for Techno Union again. India, celebrating cultural diversity, recognizes and preserves cultural enclaves within the Martian highlands, forming autonomous regions for distinct communities. India gains a lot of territory. Germany, known for economic prowess, establishes an economic union within Meridiani Planet on Mars, focusing on economic collaboration and development. It is located here, and because Australia is everywhere, Germany didn't get as much of territories as Germany won, so here is one more conflict. Egypt, rich in ancient heritage, designates regions within Mars Vallis as ancient heritage sites on Mars, focusing on the exploration of Martian history. Egypt again. Looks like he is doing expansion on nearest lands. Singapore, a global trade nexus, forms a trade nexus within the northern lowlands on Mars, fostering economic collaboration and trade routes. And the best country in my opinion, Singapore. I like it so much how all the Mars depends on Singaporean trade routes and lands. Brazil, known for agricultural strength, establishes agricultural states within as Yapan on Mars, leveraging the region's potential for farming and resource cultivation. Brazil got not bad territories, but economically depends on Singapore. The United States, inspired by Silicon Valley as a technological hub, creates innovation districts within Utopia Planitia on Mars, fostering collaboration and technological advancements. Here is comeback of USA, but it is again a claim on Australian territory, not its Utopia basin that must fully belong to USA. The United Nations, serving as a global hub for diplomacy and cooperation, designates a region on Mars as the Martian Gateway Coalition, a hub for interplanetary travel and diplomatic exchanges. The United Nations is a final step, of course, because all the countries must depend on this union, but ironically, on economy depends on Singapore, and I think wars on the Mars are inevitable because of a lot of claims. Russia annexes the Crimean Peninsula, leading to ongoing tensions and international condemnation. Looks like conflict escalates. Greece asserts historical ties to the Hellas Basin on Mars and demands territorial control, challenging Iceland's current occupation. China claims sovereignty over Taiwan, leading to long-standing geopolitical tensions and military posturing. The USA launches a cyber warfare campaign to control the entire Utopia Basin, leading to a global effort to defend against the cyber siege. India and Pakistan contest control over the Kashmir region, resulting in territorial disputes and periodic military conflicts. Germany seeks territorial expansion within the Tharsis Plateau, exploiting economic influence to redraw borders and assert control. For some reason, Germany went to China. China asserts territorial claims in the South China Sea, leading to conflicts with neighboring Southeast Asian nations. Norway uses advanced cyber capabilities to infiltrate and demand territorial concessions from China on Mars. The ongoing territorial and political conflict between Israel and Palestine continues to fuel tensions in the Middle East. Internal dissent within the trade coalition prompts conflict over the distribution of resources and influence within the Martian Trade Union. And here is the most interesting moment. The Martian Trade Union, once a harmonious coalition of Australia, Canada, and Singapore, is hit by a cosmic-level trauma bomb. Internal disagreements escalate to the point where they decide to divide Martian territories based on a fierce intergalactic dance-off. Picture this, a Martian version of So You Think You Can Trade determines who gets the juiciest spaceports and the most fashionable cosmic trade routes. Russia engages in cyber warfare activities in Eastern Europe, targeting NATO member countries and contributing to regional instability. Australia demands control over specific territories in the northern lowlands, citing resource needs and triggering tensions with Norway. Territorial disputes along the Ethiopia-Eritrea border result in sporadic conflicts that strain relations. Egypt asserts historical claims to Ars Palace and demands territorial control, challenging the sovereignty of the Martian riverine states. Japan and Russia dispute control over the South Kuril Islands, leading to diplomatic tensions. Cyber warfare and geopolitical tensions lead to a standoff over specific border regions claimed by both China and Norway on Mars. Canada and Russia compete for sovereignty and control over Arctic territories driven by resource interests. South Korea challenges the United States for control over key innovation districts within Utopia Planitia on Mars. Trade tensions escalate into a global trade war, with economic powerhouses imposing sanctions and tariffs on one another. Trade tensions escalate into a global trade war, with economic powerhouses imposing sanctions and tariffs on one another. I think you're very intrigued to see what's coming next. Well, I have some news for you. The first is that you'll see how it ends in the next video, which will be posted in 2 weeks. The good news is that if you sponsor, we'll be able to see it sooner. So thanks for watching and see you later.